Hey guys, this week we got something a little different. I got my good buddy Kerry coming in. He's a lender in town, one of the top lenders with CMG here. He's going to talk a little bit about like some different ARM products they have and some other things. And we go into a little bit of banter about like the market and where it's headed and things like that. So a little bit different today, but I hope you enjoy. Let's get into it. All right, guys, welcome to Rapid City Real Estate News. This week got a little different setup. Got Kerry here. I mentioned he's coming. Kerry is a lender in town with CMG and one of my good buddies, and he's going to talk about kind of the programs I've been talking about, how lenders are having some different programs to help out with interest rates and things like that. So rather than go through my normal spiel of numbers and things like that, we're just going to jump into this in a little bit of a conversation. I'll still have all the numbers posted below so you guys can go through them. But okay, so Kerry, explain the 10-6 ARM.
Okay. First off, thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah.
So 10-6 ARM, what that stands for, first 10 years fixed. So a fixed rate for 10 years. After that, the rate can adjust for every 6 months. So it's an ARM, an adjustable rate mortgage. Okay. The advantage with the 10-6 ARM is for those first 10 years, rate is considerably lower than what it would be on the 30-year fixed or even the 15-year fixed currently. Right now, the 10-year ARM for us is 1.25% to maybe 1.5% lower than a fixed rate. So the incentive for that right away, and if we're being honest, you're going to probably have refinanced once or twice in that first 10 years, or have sold that house. A lot of homeowners don't stay in the same house.
Yeah, I don't remember what the exact average is, but I think the average homeowner sells a house every 7 years. I think that's the national average.
Yeah. So the benefits of a 10-6 ARM currently are outstanding. I mean, when the rates are in the 2s and the 3s, you're not going to pursue an ARM product. But when the rates are doing what they're doing now, and we're seeing them consistently start to come down, an ARM product makes perfect sense.
What's the negative of doing like an ARM?
The negative of an ARM is, let's say, rates stay stagnant for a while, but when the 10 years are up and you're still in that home in 10 years, maybe rates are starting to go up. You don't want that adjustable rate mortgage where it's going to start going up. But that's again, with an ARM, you're probably going to have done something within those first 10 years. Right. One thing that we're doing, and I know some other lenders are doing things like this too, is there's a no-cost refinance that our clients are eligible for. So when rates do come down, they can get locked into a fixed mortgage option.
So the 10 and the 6, the 10 is the first 10 years. It's fake. What is the 6?
It adjusts after the first 10 years. It will adjust after every 6 months. Then.
So every 6 months, it'll change interest rates.
Correct.
Okay. Yep. Why is that? Why every 6 months? Do you know why they do that?
There's different types of ARM products. Okay. There are some that after the fixed portion, it adjusts after every single month. Oh, really? Yep. There are some that you can adjust after every year as well. The 10-6 ARM is just a really, really good.
Seems
product.
Pretty sweet to me for 10 years.
And when it comes to ARMs, a lot of them are 3-year ARMs.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I've seen before.
Yeah, 10-year gives you more stability. Yeah. You know, there's the negative stigmatism for an ARM is kind of a race because 10 years is a pretty lengthy period.
Right. So if you're right now going in, walk in, you want to do the 10-6 ARM, what are you looking at for interest rates right now?
Right now?
Today, do you know?
Anywhere between 5.75 and 5.25.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
On a 10-year. And the really cool thing with our company, with the 10-year ARM, the 10-6 ARM, is it can also be paired with that 2-1 buy down that we've talked about several times.
So explain what that means.
So a 2-1 buy down is typically it's going to be paid by either the seller or the builder. The buyer can pay for it. I don't typically recommend that, but it's an upfront prepaid interest buying your rate down. First year, it's 2% lower than your qualifying rate. Second year, it's 1% lower than your qualifying rate. Year 3, so on a 10-6 ARM, years 3 through 10, you'd be at that 10-year fix.
5.75 to 5.25.
Yeah. So let's just say you're at 5.25 today on a 10-6 ARM. First year, you're at 3.25.
It's pretty amazing.
Which is pretty awesome. Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that. So, like, you're talking about, like, usually the buyer doesn't pay for it. What does it cost?
It depends. It's based off of loan amount.
What's like a percentage?
Yeah.
What percentage, do you know?
Typically it's going to be right around 2%.
Okay, so 2% of loan value.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you got a $300,000 house, $6,000.
Correct.
Roughly. Okay. Yeah, which I think right now I've talked about a lot, that builders will probably pay that for you.
Right.
Building seems like a sweet deal right now to me, to be honest with you. No, okay. So thank you for explaining that, because I've talked about it a little bit but didn't know all the details. Just want to get your opinion. So I've talked a lot about nobody knows what the hell's going to happen exactly with the housing market.
Nobody's got a crystal ball.
But from your perspective, what do you think in the next year or two?
When you're looking at what rates are going to do or what they have done, really all we can go off of is trends and data.
Yeah.
So anybody that has even paid a little bit of attention to rates knows 2022 rates have drastically increased, right? But anybody that's been paying attention recently, in the last month, we've gained almost a full percentage
awesome,
in rates.
Yeah.
You know, so I think, and it's not just what I think, it's what I'm listening to, what I'm seeing. I think we've probably seen the peak on where rates are going. I think in October, end of October, when we were in the mid sevens,
yeah,
you know, to high sevens, I think that was probably the peak. We listened to a lot of economists, a lot of mortgage experts, the guys over on MBS Highway, Barry Habib and his group, the people at MBS Live, Mortgage Marketing Animals. We listened to all that, and we just kind of take what data is going to point us in the right direction. And you have to look at historical trends, and typically after what we've been through, within the next 6 to 12 months, we see the mortgage rates start to give some relief.
Okay.
So to answer your question, what I feel like we're going to be in probably the spring to the midsummer
Yep.
is we're probably going to be maybe in the high fives to the low sixes, and by the end of next year into the beginning of that year, probably the mid fives trending towards maybe the low fives, potentially even into the fours.
Okay.
You know, so I think that's exciting.
Have you read any of the Fannie Mae predictions? Do you read those over?
Occasionally.
Yeah. They said, I was reading it last week, and they think we'll be in the low sixes till the end of 2024. That's what they're predicting. But,
yeah.
So kind of similar to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, I hear a lot of people ask, is now a good time to buy, or when is the best time to buy? And my answer is always today. Today's the best time to buy. Or if not today, tomorrow.
Well, it's also like, the more I think about things, I'm like, we don't know.
Right.
Nobody really knows. Like, people speak in such absolutes. They're like, Dave Ramsey, for example, I follow like almost everything he says. I like do myself for like finances and stuff. But he's like, this is the best time to buy in the next 15 years. And I'm like, how do you know that?
Right.
I mean, I get his point, but he doesn't know that. And there's other people that are on the opposite of that. They're like, buy in 3 years, it's going to be half the price of what it is now. And I'm like, how is that possible? I don't get either of those saying it's perfect now or it's going to be perfect in 3 years. I don't know if anybody knows really.
When I think I shared.
I get what you're saying though, that now is the best time to buy. I get.
And I think I shared a podcast with you last month, or maybe a couple weeks ago, with Dave Stevens, who is one of the top mortgage minds, economic minds out there. And you know, his idea is, if you're dragging your feet or if you're on the sidelines right now, you're going to continue to do that, because no matter what rates do, housing prices are going to continue to appreciate, even if we go back to where it was 3 years ago, 5 years ago.
Which is probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, 4 or 5%.
Yeah.
That's still, with what you put down and what you're appreciating every year.
Yeah.
That 4% appreciation is giving you probably closer to 25 to 30% leverage with your equity.
It's true.
So, and that's what I mean by if not today, tomorrow, because every day that you're not a homeowner, especially a first-time homeowner, you're missing out on the ability to build equity and generate wealth through your home.
I totally agree, man. Yeah, and but the other side I would say, like, I think it also depends on your, like, maybe your risk tolerance, or people mentally get themselves in the way. Like, if you can't stand the thought of being in debt, don't buy a house. You know what I mean? It's like, just stay in a rental. And that's how I look at it. Or if you're so terrified the market's going to drop, your house is going to be lowest value, okay, then don't buy a house. That's how I look at it. I'm like, but if you're okay with the thought of, okay, if the market drops 30% right after you buy your house, you didn't lose any money.
Right.
Not yet, unless you sell it. It's the same thing with stocks, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to lose the money unless you sell it right then and like back out of it, which would make no sense. But my rule of thumb is, if you can buy it and you can rent it for at least your payment, then you're good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and just like you said, buying stocks, investing, you know, just like with mortgages, you want to look at historical data and what does that tell you for trends? Where are we headed? What potentially is going to come next? With investing, the type of year that we've had where everybody who has a 401k or is heavily invested knows they're going to take losses this year. The smart investors know what typically happens after that stretch. It goes up pretty heavily for the next 2 or 3 years, historically.
But people panic sell.
Right.
Yeah, which I think people are doing with houses personally.
Yeah.
I think they have to sell now to get in the market or whatever, which I guess maybe there's some truth to that. But yeah, I don't see the market tanking, but I also don't see it continuing what we saw in the last 2 years.
I don't think it's feasible.
I hope it doesn't.
I do think,
honestly.
Yeah, I do think once rates come down to where people are starting to feel more comfortable with it.
I think we're gonna have a big pop in the spring and summer.
Yeah, I do think we're going to see another fluctuation, and then obviously that typically causes housing prices to temporarily go up again. Yeah. So I think we're going to see that, but not to the extent that we did.
No, I think we'll probably be pre-2020, which if you remember in the seminars we did up until then, I think 18 was around 9% increase. 19 was like the same, 8 or 9%. Which was phenomenal.
Which was outstanding.
Yeah, if it continues at that, it's a great investment and it's still affordable and you can keep up with it.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that'll be continuing. Yeah. Anything else you want to go over?
No, I think you hit on something just moments ago that you had talked about on one of your previous shows, though, of even if there was a direct loss right after you purchased your house, in the long run, you're still making money on your investment, or you should still make money on your investment.
Totally.
It's just the people that are looking for flips or a quick turnaround that are probably not in the market right now to make substantially the amount of money that they did before.
Now the only caveat to that I would say is that I've found some crazy good deals recently where people are just like think the market's going to fall out, so they're like, yeah, I'll take it. Yeah. You know, so you can make money off of that stuff.
Right.
That people are panic selling, you can take advantage of it.
Well, and at this point, a buyer has way more negotiating power, right?
They do. Someone asked me a couple of days ago, is there a seller's market there or a buyer's market there? It's still a seller's market here, by definition.
Right.
But it feels like a buyer's market compared to the last 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, I have 5 options to choose from instead of half of one, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely still a seller's market by definition, but it feels a lot slower.
Yeah.
A lot slower, which is good.
I think it's still an exciting time. I think, people like yourself that are really getting the correct message out there is going a long way to preventing that doomsday feeling.
Yeah.
Because we're definitely not there. This isn't 08, this isn't 09. The market's not doing what it's doing now because of a housing crash or a housing crisis.
Yeah, true.
So we're completely different than we were at that point.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe we'll be wrong, but I doubt it. From everything I've read and listened to as well, I think it's a safe bet to think it's probably going to go up slowly, not crash.
Yeah.
I think certain markets will crash, though. Some certain markets already have started to, like Arizona.
The metropolitan.
Yeah, like the Phoenix metro, that area. Boise, Idaho, looks like it's crashing a little bit. Some of those areas that were like, we were inflated, but those areas were up like 50% year over year.
Yeah.
So they'll probably crash from their peak, I would think. You know.
So when you say crash, do you think
more than 20%?
And is that, you think, because of the overinflated offers, like the 100,000 over asking?
Exactly.
Now it's going to be closer to, hey, I'm getting maybe 5%.
Phoenix might already be in a crash technically. They might already be down 20% from their peak.
Really?
I think so. From what I've seen over there, anyways. Definitely correction. You know, like 10 to 20% range. But I think it might already be over 20.
So is that still a great market to look for a long-term investment?
I don't know. I'm not like in that market enough.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To know, like people ask me about other markets, like, what is this worth? And I'm like, dude, real estate is so local. I only know here.
Right.
Really. You know what I mean? I peek at other markets a little bit, but it takes so much time to like learn a market for real that I don't know there.
Right.
I've just talked to guys that work there, and I've heard from a couple of them that they think it'll be down 30% this year. So I don't know. But if they were up 50%,
right?
It's really not that much of a negative. You know.
Yeah. And then and historically, that's a great time to buy when the market comes down like that. So.
Yeah, I think Phoenix might be a good market to buy in soon, honestly. I don't know. But, well, thanks for being on the show, man. Appreciate
absolutely.
it.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for your time. Guys, if you got any questions for Kerry or me, hit the link below. All of our contact info's in there, and you can reach out to Kerry, and he'll sell you whatever you want him to sell you. He's a big-time sales guy. I'm just kidding. But, yeah, reach out if you got any questions, concerns. Thanks for watching this one. See you next week. Peace.